brought up a great point, which is that you don't actually know each other's running backgrounds super well, right? Like you each have said, hey,
Right.
here's my resume and here's my background. And I obviously have been selected for this event. So I have a baseline ability to run something like this. But until we're out on the road together, like we're never really going to know what each of us is like as a runner.
First of all, I really trust my teammates, and especially the blue team guys. There's a lot of trust. They're very fast, and I know that we're going to get the job done. I think the biggest part is that as a team in general, with all 12 of us, that we have to really kind of figure out who's going to push at what moment.
Is that much of it? That's not much of a change for you, right?
My name is Kerry Kite. I used to load bombs in the Air Force, and now I'm a writer, a filmmaker, and an entrepreneur. Through using the post 9/11 GI Bill to go to college, working hourly jobs to pay the bills, and freelancing my way into a career, I've studied what it takes to successfully transition from service to civilian, and that study has become a conversation. On this podcast, I speak to other veterans, successful artists and entrepreneurs about their transition, what they did well, where they failed, what they learned, and most importantly, how they applied their skills. Episode 145 features Josh Kraus, a U.S. Navy veteran and ultra-endurance athlete. This continues our series with Team RWB's Old Glory Ultra Relay. The team just landed the flag at the National Mall in Washington, D.C., at the future site of the Global War on Terror Memorial. Well, this is Veteran Made. Our merch store is live at store.veteranmadeproductions.com. Grab hats, t-shirts, and hoodies in both performance and tri-blend cotton fabrics. Use code VM-5OFF for 5% off your purchase. Veteran Made is also sponsored by GoPills, a military-grade nootropic that contributes to brain health over time. Use code VM15 at checkout for 15% off. I get my collagen protein from Bubs Naturals, where you can use code VETERANMADE, all one word, at checkout for 20% off your order. We're also proud to partner with True Made Foods, which makes condiments free from added sugar and sweetened with real foods. Use code VET at checkout for 15% off. We love socks in this house. I get my wife new socks every Christmas. More importantly, we love American-grown and made socks. Use code VETERANMADE15 at rucksocks.com for 15% off. And lastly, I end my day with Rack Out from Bravo Actual to maintain quality sleep, resulting in a well-rested body and mind. Use code VETERANMADE with a space between the words at checkout for 15% off your order. Enjoy the episode.
All right. Good morning from the great state of Ohio for me. Good morning from my original home state, the great state of California. Josh Kraus, welcome to Veteran Made.
Morning. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Thanks for coming on. As of this recording, we are 5 days out, 4 days out, depending on how you count the days, to the kickoff for the Old Glory Ultra Relay there in San Diego, right down the street from you. And as of this airing, we will have just finished the race. So it's kind of a fun past, present, future kind of thing that we're doing here as we finish up the series with Team RWB and the Old Glory Ultra Relay. For folks who don't know who you are, if you could give us just a brief primer on who you are and where and when you served, and then we'll jump in.
Yeah, my name is Joshua Kraus. I'm originally from a small town in southeast Iowa. And after high school, I wanted to serve the country. I joined the Navy, and I spent a few years on the USS Peleliu, did 2 deployments, separated from there. And then I did a couple more years with Sub Ron 11 out of Point Loma. It's a submarine detachment. And then, I got out, and I love California so much, I decided to stay out here. And now I live about an hour north of San Diego in Temecula, California, with my wife and 2 kids.
Nice. Listen, I feel you. I'm from California, but I live in the Midwest now and spent time in the Midwest. California and Ohio, California and Iowa are very different. Both have their benefits, but I would say that I don't blame you for staying in California. I love it. Cool. So, I mean, I'd love to. We'll chat about running and like kind of all that stuff later. But like we're in this weird moment. So we're a couple days out from getting ready to start. You don't have to travel as far as everybody else does to get this thing started. But let's jump into how are you feeling week of a few days away from kicking this thing off? How are you feeling?
I feel great. Thankfully, I actually just ran the Boston Marathon last Monday.
Wow.
So there's a little bit of concern on that. And then prior to that, probably like 2 weeks out from the Boston, I had a back spasm that I've, dealt with before, and I was really concerned about it. And I was like, oh man, this is the worst time to have it. Thankfully, I took a few days off from running and just nursed it, did a lot of heat therapy and cold therapy, and then ran the Boston, had a great time. And, a few days after Boston, I was feeling a little bit sore, but now I'm just back to normal, ready to go.
Nice. How did you do at Boston?
I did, it was a really good race. I had the goal of running a sub three. And last year I ran it. That was my first Boston last year. I ran around a 3:08. This year I ran 3 hours and 40 seconds. So I was
Wow.
this close. Yeah. So I mean, it's crazy. You're like, God, I couldn't just run 41 more seconds faster, but it's hard, even if you think, wow, just all you got to do is just run that much faster. But I was dealing with, the legs were starting to cramp up, and I didn't want to blow up, so I had to be a little bit more conservative. And unfortunately, I didn't hit that benchmark, but I'm super happy. It's a marathon PR.
Heck yeah.
So, yeah, so there's always next year.
Yeah. It's incredible. I mean, one thing that's interesting about this sport that I've learned throughout this series and getting ready to tell this story is that you guys go compete in other events as a means of prep, or not even necessarily as a means of prep, but like in addition to the prep that you're doing for something like the Old Glory Ultra Relay. It's not like a traditional sport where you practice all week, play a game, practice all week, play a game, right? It's like you train and practice and then compete, and train and practice and then compete, and you're doing that in the lead up to an event like this. And you'd mentioned injury leading up to Boston. So what made you decide to go through with that, and how were you evaluating yourself along the way as you were running that, knowing that, like, hey, I don't want to push myself too hard because I've got the Old Glory Ultra Relay coming up, but I still want to hit this PR. Like, how do you, as a runner, as a human, as an athlete, kind of reconcile those things as you're training and competing at the same time?
Yeah, well, I've it's kind of something that I've learned through ultra running. You really learn yourself and your body and how you're going to manage from day to day. And I told my teammates, the Blue Man Group, that I may have to reconsider running the Boston because I don't know if this injury is gonna. I mean, if I have another back spasm and I've had it to where it's set me out for an entire month, and I like absolutely did not want that to happen. So I was like, if it doesn't get any better, I'm just going to scrap the Boston. And fortunately, things started to turn around. I was feeling better, and I knew that it was just kind of like that one episode. I was doing some different strength work and some different things to get ready for Ogre. And I think that's what kind of inflamed it. So I was like, all right, I backed off of that and just kind of focused on recovery and running. And then leading up to the Boston and being at Boston, I knew that I was like, okay, I'm good. I'm good to go. And then after Boston, I just have to recover. And I've come out of marathons. I've come out of 100-mile ultras and, gone to work the next day and just been like, I'm good. So fortunately, I recovered pretty fast.
Yeah. So what does this week look like for you? It's Monday, April 28th as we record this. You guys are we are kicking off because Cameron and I are going to be embedded with the team on Friday, May 2nd. So we're 4 or 5 days out from it. What does this week look like for you? You did Boston last month. You're kind of getting ready to do this. What does the immediate lead up to the Old Glory Ultra Relay look like?
Well, actually, Boston was last Monday.
Oh,
So I'm on a
good
yeah,
Lord. Okay.
yeah. So I'm on a huge deload. So it's
Okay.
like, I'm just focused on recovery. I'm sitting in the sauna doing some cold plunges, just doing light running, and just trying to maintain all the hard work that I've done over the course of 3 or 4 months. And then I know that going into Ogre, I'll be ready and the legs will be fresh.
Does that that's funny. I heard you say month and you said Monday. So with it being that like closely removed, like did you plan it, and then B, like, or do you like being on a deload going into something of this magnitude, or would you prefer to be running harder? Like, how did that shake out?
I actually had already been slated to do the Boston. There's a registration period that you have to get into, and I was already locked in. And then, and I'm comfortable. I've done it where I've had these tapers where I've done this deload and gone into events and felt fresh, And then I've on the same aspect, I've done it on the other side where I've still kept the volume up and been real active before like an ultra and stuff like that, and been okay with it. It's a two-way street, It's kind of like it's nice to stay like keep the thunder going, and keep it rolling. But at the same time, it's kind of like, well, I'm going to be running, 16, 17 miles every day. So I might as well just let the legs come in fresh and injury free um, and then just catch up on all the running that I'll be doing out there.
Yeah, catching up on the running. That's a good way to
Right.
phrase it. You mentioned collaborating with and communicating with Team Blue Man Group as you were making the decision to keep your slot in Boston and prioritize the Old Glory Ultra Relay. What was that communication like? What kind of support were you getting? What kind of pushback in the good sense, right? Like I've gotten a good sense of how all these teams communicate with each other as I've done this series. And so I'm sure there was some bulletproofing, right? And so some testing of your thoughts and ideas, but like, how did that shake out as you communicated with them to make that decision?
I sent out a group text to them, and they obviously showed a little bit of concern, with the back spasm coming up, and then, they were, text like, "Hey, Josh, are you still running this thing?" And I had to reassure them that, yeah, no, I'm good to go. And it's kind of a hard thing because, we've gotten together a couple times, and of course, there's the Zoom calls and the text messages, but we're still really getting to know each other, and they don't really like, everybody's like, we don't know each other's running background so much. So if had they seen me, like over the course of 3 years, they'd be like, oh, he's going to bounce back. He'll be just fine, But there's a lot of unknowns, So, but they were really good about it, and they were happy, and they were they were blowing up my watch when I was running the Boston. Bill Savage was like, and I'm like, I know they're saying something, and then I know they were on Instagram. They were following along, so it's been great.
Yeah, it's awesome. So picture yourself out on the road here for Ogre, for the Old Glory Ultra Relay. You mentioned a couple of key things there that you've all gotten to know each other personally pretty well, and you have a little bit of an idea of the training cadence and some of the injuries and things that have happened here along the way. But you brought up a great point, which is that you don't actually know each other's running backgrounds super well, right? Like you each have said, hey,
Right.
Here's my resume and here's my background. And I obviously have been selected for this event. So I have a baseline ability to run something like this. But until we're out on the road together, like we're never really going to know what each of us is like as a runner. So Josh, like picture yourself out there on the road next week and the week after. Like what are you expecting? How are you expecting to feel? And what are some of the scenarios that you're personally preparing for?
The big part is, first of all, I really trust my teammates, and especially the blue team guys. I mean, I've seen Gavin Woody has done over 100 ultras, and I know this guy, he's a master of recovery. And then Zach and Bill, absolute studs. And I think that they probably like don't give themselves enough credit. So there's a lot of trust. They're very fast, and I know that we're going to get the job done. I think the biggest part is that as a team in general, with all 12 of us, that we have to really kind of figure out who's going to push at what moment. For instance, on our first day, we're going to start off at 9 a.m. So we're only going to run for 6 hours, the blue team. And originally I thought we were going to run for 8 hours, and we were going to make this climb up to Julian on the last 13 miles or so. But now that we're only going to be running 6 hours, we're going to stop just short of there. And I was talking to Peter Consalvi last night about maybe we can push the pace a little bit, so that way we set the red team up for like a better climb up that, so they don't have to push a 7:45 or better going up, and maybe they can do an 8:30. And then when the legs are fresh, they have that nice downhill into the Anza-Borrego Desert.
Yeah, I love the tactics and the strategy of this, and especially now with Pete, being the crew chief. I just interviewed him last week for the podcast, and we talked about his new role as the crew chief for the whole squad here, and he's the one who brought it up. And we had talked about how it was a real bummer for him to not be running, but then he got very excited because he has all these protocols and all these schemes is the word that he used to get, real interested in figuring out elevation and geography and all these different things. And so it's really cool, A, to just hear that that's already started happening. But then B, we started talking about like, yeah, okay, you got your 8-hour blocks, but each shift is going to take it a little bit differently. I think like red team is going to do like 30 minutes as a part of their 2-hour block and then take the 90 off and then just rotate more times through their 8-hour shift. Now you guys are talking about, well, we got to adjust the shift down to a 6-hour shift because of topography and all these different things. Like walk me through that a little bit, like dig a little bit deeper into like how far ahead into the race are you guys looking at those types of strategic decisions to make, knowing that you're going to have to pivot at some point because something is going to go wrong?
Oh, absolutely. Right away. This conversation with Peter last night was pretty in depth about it, and just kind of seeing everybody's capabilities on what their paces are, comfortable paces. The first day we're going to have that 6 hours because blue team is going to start from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. But because everything's kicking off at 9 a.m., we're going to lose those 2 hours. But then every day after that's going to be 8 hours. And the big thing is that, based on everybody's paces, the blue team might have to actually push the pace a little bit more to support some of the other runners, which I know we're all good with. So we kind of want to be really strategic about it. And then I talked to Peter last night about also like, we're only going to be doing those 6 hours. And by the time we get done, we're going to hand the flag off to red team, and then they're going to like go right into this climb. And I was like, hey, how about we just, have blue team stay on a little bit longer because we're not doing that full 8-hour shift. And then we can use 2 teams to make that climb up the hill, and then, hand it over to red team for that nice smooth downhill. So, and it's going to be like that every day. We're going to look at the elevation profile. We're going to look at, some pace simulations, we want to see where the needs are at, basically. And my big thing is I just don't want to go into this too far, in day 5 with a huge deficit where we have to run really fast. And then on the other token, we don't want to be too aggressive because we want to make sure that we can make it through the 2+ weeks of running.
Yeah, you can't be too aggressive because recovery is something that everybody's been saying this entire series as we've been leading up to this race. And so, yeah, it's funny because not funny is the wrong word, but everybody here is a competitive athlete, right? Like everybody has a military background. So, everybody has that baseline certain sense, that certain personality, that certain approach to life and endeavors in life. And then you add to it your own elite endurance athletes. Well, that competitive nature in a positive way is very, very high, but without the temper on that, without tempering that, without the governor on that, right, it can actually get out of control pretty quickly.
Right.
And then you're cooked because you're not going to actually finish the race. It's also interesting because I think, whether you want to say everything happens for a reason or however you want to say it, the fact that Pete has spent so much of his post-service life traveling the world and looking at topography and geography and like really understanding elevation and all these different things and all these factors. Not that you all don't have trail running experience and understand it at a baseline level, but the fact that he's like done this way puts him in a very, very unique and I think advantageous position for the team for him to now be crewing all 12 of you.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. I was relieved last night because I was going to do that, the elevation profile and kind of put that pace simulation up for the blue team. He's like, Josh, don't worry about that. I'm going to be doing that for you every day. I'm like, thank God,
Yeah.
So yeah, that takes a lot of work off my hands.
Yeah. How are you like feeling outside of physically and outside of from a preparation standpoint for the run? How are you feeling and just about like getting on the road with these guys?
Oh, I'm so excited. I mean, it's going to be amazing, and the team, we were all kind of blown away that we were put on day shift. And, we thought that, we're probably going to be running through the night or whatever. But, we landed on day shift. And so, there's some drawbacks. We're going to be running through the heat and whatnot. but I'm super excited. I mean, we're going to be running across America together, and we get to see America, and it's going to be amazing. And we did that training run in Arkansas for 8 hours, and it was amazing because we're running through parks and we're running, and people are standing there and they're saluting us, and cars are just honking their horns at us. So it was an amazing feeling, and just to take the flag across the country, just to feel that same thing and that same excitement. It's like it's Fourth of July every day, So super stoked.
Yeah, Lindsay was the first one to bring it up in this way, and I hadn't thought about it, but just so you guys are running very fast from a pace standpoint for ultra running, but slow objectively in terms of like how much time it's going to take us to get through all these different regions. And so we'll get to see the country in such a unique way, that and at such a unique pace, that we otherwise wouldn't have the opportunity to do. Like, we wouldn't be going across the country this way. I've done plenty of road trips across the country, but you're always just kind of flying through, right? Gas station
Right,
to gas
right.
station, city to city. But here we are, we're going to take our time and we're going to go through all these different regions and see all these different people, and experience, like, really see, feel, hear the country in a unique way.
Yes, yeah. I mean, even running through my local neighborhood, with my wife, I'll point out things, and she's like, "I didn't know that was there." Well, if you had run it, or walked it or whatever, you see all those things that you don't notice when you're driving 40 miles down the street or whatever. So, yeah, it's definitely very exciting.
What's the thing you're most looking forward to, and then what's the thing that's on your radar that, I don't want to say most concerned about, to jinx it or anything like that, but something that you kind of have your eye on to approach differently, so to speak?
Well, just the running. I'm just looking forward to the running every day and out there and just enjoying the moment. And I think the biggest concern um, is my biggest concern. And then if anybody gets ill,
Yeah,
so that's
yeah,
about it. Yeah.
we're down. Yeah, I mean, we're down to no crew, or we're down to one crew chief who has an injury, right? Which is why he's crewing. And so, like, all the alts are out. So it's recovery has been the theme, one of the major through lines, and it's now something that, and then there's just accidents and things that happen, right? And so those are the
Right.
things to
Right.
be on the lookout for.
Yeah.
Yeah. The heat. How are you going to feel going across the plains of Texas?
Not good. But it's not. I think about it, and I think about these ultras and running like in the desert for that Javelina 100. And um, the good thing is that we're going to be able to jump back into an air conditioned RV where you're not going to be running all the time. I think we'll just have to rotate a little bit more, but yeah, you got to embrace the suck. So, and that's what it is.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, so I kind of want to start to wrap things up here on the emotional side. Like, what does it mean to you to participate in the Old Glory Ultra Relay, to kick off from the USS Midway in San Diego and land at the National Mall in Washington, D.C., at the future site of the Global War on Terror Memorial? What does it mean to you to participate in this event?
Oh gosh, it means so much to me. I mean, just when I learned about the event, and I was so excited to do it. And when I finally got on board and everything, it was exhilarating. And just the fact that I get to do a transcon was an amazing thing. But now that I get to do a transcon with 11 other amazing individuals, military veterans, like, is icing on the cake. And then we get to carry the flag in a relay. It's just like, it's crazy. So it's amazing. And it's something for me as a father that I can always, you know, make my kids proud, make my family proud, and then I always felt like I've probably been the one that's separated from the military the longest out of the team. So, and I didn't do the full Monty or anything like that, but I've always felt like I didn't give enough of myself to this country, and doing this has kind of given me some closure on that. So I'm so excited, so honored to be able to be a part of this.
Yeah, that's incredible. That's incredible. Yeah, it's going to be special. I try to, Cameron and I will be embedded with the team. We'll be jumping from RV to RV, and we'll be in the command vehicle, and we'll be in the medical vehicle. We'll kind of be jumping around with you guys and get in your face and telling the story the same way we did at UHP back in December, right? And I think about us making our way across the country, and then I think about you guys running into Washington D.C. And it's going to be the first time that Global War on Terror veterans have been welcomed home, right? GWAT veterans have not truly been welcomed home yet. And this like really will be the first time that there'll be a moment of saying like, hey, we're home and we're here. And this is where our memorial is going to be. It's going to be really special.
It is. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. Josh, appreciate your time. Appreciate your energy. Appreciate your miles, man. I'm excited to get out on the road with you.
Thank you very much.
Tell this story. It's funny. The closer we get to, obviously we're a couple of days out now. And so I'm like really excited. A part of me feels a little apprehensive about expressing how excited I am because I'm not actually running, right? Like I get to go on the red. Not that it's not going to be stressful for us too, telling the story and shooting a documentary. It's not going to be easy or simple. But we're not running. But I gotta say, man, I am so excited right now. I woke up this morning like the week is here. I'm just juiced.
Yeah, I'm so stoked. It's gonna be crazy.
Yeah, I love it. All right, before I ask the open-ended question that ends each episode, where can folks find you and follow along on social media or any of the running apps that you'll be? Obviously, everybody can follow the flag. We'll link that out. But where can folks follow along for your journey?
Yeah, I'm on Strava, and then I'm also on Instagram. You can follow me at Josh Kraus underscore or Josh underscore Krausfit.
Okay, great. I love it. We'll link that out and we'll collaborate with you on these posts so folks can see it. Josh, to end each episode of the podcast, I ask an open-ended question. What's on your heart and your mind for our community right now? Could be a piece of advice, something you want to get off your chest, or something you want to reiterate that we've talked about today. But Josh, what's on your heart, what's on your mind?
The thing that's on my mind is that that we're going to embark on this journey for veterans, and it means a lot to me to be out there as a veteran to inspire other veterans to get back into being physical, and also that I'm one of the older guys on the team that hey, you can still go out there and kick ass and do fun things and rediscover your youth and do epic things.
Do epic things. I absolutely love it. Couldn't have said it better myself. Josh, appreciate you, brother. We will see you in a couple days.
All right. See ya. Thank you.
Yeah.